Hello everyone, Bart here, and welcome to another Top 10 list. As many of you know, or don't know, is that I really enjoyed The Simpsons. For all of its characters, jokes, animation, and whatnot. Having it be one of my favorite animated shows, making a top 10 list of favorite episodes, and enjoying a theatrical movie. Well, this is going to be a big irony because I got a list of my least favorite episodes. And yes, everyone has their own, but the ones I pick have reasons you may not think about. So, let's get to it with a list of my top 10 least favorite Simpson episodes. Number 10. Simpsons Bible Stories. This is the first episode, aside from the Halloween episodes, where 3 stories are told around a specific subject. Yet, this isn't a strong one. After Homer put a chocolate bunny in the collection plate during an Easter sermon, Lovejoy begins reading the Bible. But due to the heat of the day, the Simpsons start sleeping and dream themselves in the Bible stories, with Homer and Marge as Adam and Eve, Lisa as an Israelite slave with Milhouse as Moses, Homer as King Solomon, and Bart as King David fighting Nelson as Goliath II. Now at first, it's a fine episode, an Easter episode with Bible themes and stories. But I put it on the list for one reason and one reason only, and that's for the ending, where the apocalypse came down, the Flanders go to heaven, and the Simpsons go to hell. I mean, what has happened? Where did everyone else go? Why did Homer not allow Lisa to go into heaven? This is more like an ending for a Halloween episode, not a regular episode. But I put it pretty low on the list because I would watch this episode around Easter, and I don't get angry about the end, but it still bothers me how it all turns out. This may be a guilty pleasure episode, but its conclusion is anything but pleasure. Number 9. It's a Mad Marge. Have you heard of the idea where one person thought that someone was a bad person and it turns out that person was bad but never shows it? Well, this one carries that idea, and it's as weak as it is. Otto is about to marry his girlfriend named Becky, but due to her hatred of heavy metal and rock and roll, Otto leaves her at the altar. So the Simpsons allow Becky to reside with them. But the more Becky starts to overshadow Marge's duty and possibly threaten her and the family, the more Marge becomes angry and, for lack of a better word, crazy. First, it's just like what I said from the start. But then again, it's exactly what I said from the start. And it's pretty confusing at the end when Becky mentions that she was trying to take the family and kill Marge. But since that's the case, why didn't Marge ask Becky in the first place? If she did, then she wouldn't have accused Becky of kicking Bart in the face, performed a sacrifice, and kissing Homer at the ice cream parlor. Which, by the way, that ice cream parlor features the most depressing and very weak scenes of any or all episodes. It just shows the idea of usurping to a big level, that it becomes confusing, depressing, and pretty weak. Number 8. Flaming Moes. Not that one. This one. There are episodes that always keep Homer from being recognized through fame and fortune, and this is an early take on it that's not only heartbreaking, but disappointing. Moe's business hasn't been doing so well, so Homer has an idea for a drink that when mixed with cough syrup and fire, will make it taste great, and he calls it the Flaming Homer. But Moe steals the idea, takes credit for creating it, calls it the Flaming Moe, and his business starts booming again. But all Homer wants is to have credit for making the drink, and he should. He doesn't come to Moe for a drink, he goes to different bars, he tries to take it to court. Even Bart's trying to prove that his dad made it, but nobody cares and nothing works. It's such a disheartening episode that even when Moe doesn't care about sharing Homer's idea with him, it's like a pain in the neck. And it's such a bother that Homer never gets recognized, and even in episodes where he tries to show he has fame and fortune, it always backfires. Yes, the episode guest stars Aerosmith and parodies the show Cheers, but those are small highlights to an otherwise bothersome episode. It's an episode that goes to show that taking credit for someone's work is okay, but it's a hurtful one, and it's not a good thing. Number 7. Camp Krusty. There are times when the Simpsons go someplace and they have a miserable experience there, and this is miserable enough. As school is out for summer vacation, Bart and Lisa, along with other kids, head out to a camp called Camp Krusty, where a man named Mr. Black promises that Krusty will be arriving soon. So the school bullies, Dolph, Kearney, and Jimbo, take over the camp and make the kids miserable by feeding them gruel, making them stay in cold and old shacks, and taking non-stop hikes. And while that's going on, Homer and Marge are having a very good time together and thinking the kids are alright. Really? You're going to go with that? You two never got the hint in Lisa's letter that the kids were in trouble and thought they were playing around? You're very bad parents. This is worse than the episode where the kids are trapped on an island and the parents never find out. But the kids end up taking over the camp when Krusty never arrives, and when he does, he makes up for it by taking them to Tijuana. A happy end, but not happy enough for seeing the kids through all this. It's just a miserable episode. Why are the bullies taking over the camp? Why is Mr. Black wanting the kids to be hopeless? It's despicable seeing how low they make the kids feel, and I just dislike this one for those reasons. It's one that shows the worst side of camping, but for the wrong reasons. Number 6. Prankster Rap. This is a case where Bart's prank becomes the central focus of the episode, and it ends without any truth being spoken, and even having Marge not find out. Bart wants to go to a rap concert, but his parents won't allow it, so he sneaks out to the concert, but upon returning home, he ends up lying by having a note saying that he was kidnapped. And as Bart hangs out with Milhouse, Wiggum comes in and arrests Kirk for kidnapping Bart, which makes Wiggum commissioner, and Lisa finds out what really happened to Bart. And once Lisa did find out, Homer burns the evidence. But Skinner agrees to help Lisa out by going to the rapper's mansion, where Wiggum, Homer, and Bart tell Lisa not to expose him, and through some out-of-nowhere explanations and out-of-nowhere scenes, the truth is never brought up, and Marge never finds out. And that's the biggest problem. Lisa went to Homer, and not Marge. Why? It would have been a better episode if Marge found out. And there is another episode where Marge never found out what happened to Bart, but that sort of worked because it leaves Marge happy with having to hear Bart after a long time, even though it's a lie. Here, it's reversed and was never brought to Marge's attention. I dislike the episode for its out-of-context ending and for Bart never being exposed. And it's an episode where the lie goes too far and never goes anywhere at the end. Number 5. Missionary Impossible. There's like a lot of episodes that show Homer in various jobs, and in this one, he not only does it wrong, but he doesn't return home, which is the confusion, but we'll get to that. After lying about having $10,000 to stop the PBS telethon, Homer escapes from an angry mob of PBS characters and Betty White for not getting the money. So Lovejoy helps Homer by sending him to a South Pacific island where he becomes a missionary. While there, he not only meets the natives and a girl he calls Lisa Jr., he also fails to teach religion and builds a casino that backfires very quickly. Thus, Homer builds a chapel and he and Lisa Jr. ring the bell. But after licking toads, Homer rings the bell too loud, which causes an earthquake that brings up lava, and it turns out to be a program on Fox. What just happened? If it was a program on Fox, then where are the cameras? How come no one on the island notices? How did Homer get back home? Yeah, you can say that's part of the joke, but I'm not laughing, because, like Homer, I want him to get off the island. It's okay if he does something, but when he wants to go home, I want him to go home. And yeah, there's a side story where Bart takes Homer's place, which doesn't work out for him at the power plant, and that's fine, but the main story isn't interesting. It's one of those episodes where the ending doesn't make sense, and it's just pointless. Number 4. Love is a many-splendored thing. I really don't like those episodes that focus on Bart trying to get a girlfriend that ultimately fails due to him not paying attention or doing something that the girl doesn't like. And this one tops them all. One of Bart's quote-unquote supposed girlfriends, named Mary Spunkler, has returned to Springfield after failing as an actress to be with her family, and Bart and Mary start a relationship. but Bart ends up ignoring her, which has them break up and which has Mary sing a hate song about Bart to Bart, which is already painful enough, to which has Bart trying to let her forgive and forget, which she refuses. Sure, there's a glimmer of hope at the end when Bart sees that Mary's single on her social media page, but to all that happened beforehand, that's not a strong enough ending, even after Mary's hate song. And it is odd that, unlike Bart's other girlfriends, Mary appears in the most episodes, and strangely ages while Bart's still 10. And I know he can stop his own rebellion when it comes to girls, as it shows in other episodes. But if he wants to keep a girlfriend, he better not let his rebel side take over, and keep it like that. It's just an episode where the girlfriend goes too far to depress someone, and becomes painful as it goes. Number 3. The Boys of Bummer. As if Bart's trouble with girls isn't painful enough, here's an episode that centers around him getting booed at just for a small mishap. Bart's baseball team gets into the championship after Bart caught the ball in the semifinals. But this becomes an irony when he couldn't catch the ball in the finals, causing his team to lose, and thus begins the whole town's hatred of him. And there is a side story where Homer is a mattress salesman and trades his mattress with Lovejoy for one he bought, and that one's fine. But the main story is a very painful one, and it keeps going, and never stops. He does get a retry at the end, but it still doesn't help when the second act is nothing but a town's anger at a boy who only made one flop. I hate episodes that show the mean-spirited side, even for just 1 second. And it's not funny, and it's not heartwarming, it's just mean. Too mean. And Springfield should be ashamed for this, as a town whose love of sports is so extreme that a single tiny error would cause a riot, or, in this case, mock a player for like an eternity. It's as painful as I'm making it out to be, and it's still as painful the more I think about it or talk about it. And this is where the more these people mock, the more you want to say, stop it. Number 2. Miracle on Evergreen Terrace. Out of all the Christmas episodes the series had done, the least one of all is this one. And I watch it every year, and I still don't get it. With Marge keeping all the alarm clocks to avoid the family from getting up too early, Bart sneaks downstairs to open up his presents without his family. But one of his presents accidentally catches fire and burns down the tree and other presents. So he lies to his family the next morning that a burglar stole the items, and once it hits the news, the whole town donated their money, which the family spends all on a car, which causes Bart to tell the truth, which leads to the town hating them, which leads to them, for no reason at all, to steal the family's stuff. What an ironic ending to a disappointing episode. Why did the town steal their stuff after forgiving them? How did the family get their stuff back? Why don't people just blame Bart and just the whole family? Why is it that the orphans, Patches, and poor Violet end up being in episodes that have bad endings? All these questions and more aren't answered, and they should be. And as a Christmas episode, it's really awful. It gets bad once Bart burns the tree, and it gets really bad all the way through. It was one episode that I often hated, and it still remains to be. And my number 1 least favorite Simpson episode is... No. I can't. I have no choice but to... Just show it! My number 1 least favorite Simpson episode is... Bart Mangled Banner. This is one I despise the most, and along with the other episodes that deal with a hatred of the family, this one has it as the main focus for the whole episode. After getting a shot from Dr. Hibbert, Bart becomes deaf and is told to skip school, but the school has a basketball game with donkeys, and an accident led to Bart unknowingly mooning the American flag during the national anthem, causing all of Springfield to hate him and his family for hating America. Of course, Marge and Homer try to explain, but no one will listen. And like I said with Boys of Bummer on wanting to say stop it, well, here, I wanted to say stop it all the time. From when Bart quote-unquote moons the flag, to no one listening to the truth, to everyone hating the family, to Marge states she hates Americans on a talk show, which leads to Springfield changing its name, to having the Simpsons arrested, to having them live in France and then immigrate back to America. There's nothing funny about it, there's nothing dramatic about it, there's nothing good about it, it hurts the more I think about it, it's the most hateful episode of all, and I just cannot stand it any longer. And with all the episodes I have talked about before, this is one, without a doubt, my least favorite Simpsons episode. Well, that's all I have to say for now. So thank you for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Facebook or Twitter. Tune in next week for a new video. And if some of you are upset with this one, don't worry. Because next week's another top 10 list of episodes, but they're going to be ones I like. And they're going to be from a different show. Well, that's all I have to say for now. So thank you for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Facebook or Twitter. Tune in next week for a new video. And if some of you are upset with this one, don't worry. Because well, this is going to be a big irony because I got a list of my favorite